in addition to authoring several books, including The Spirit in Caregiving and Fresh Fruit Hope. Gerry is a partner in the Ikigai Initiative, which focuses on uplifting the community. He also has a special connection with Palolo Chinese Home. Gerry, tell us about that connection, your work in the community, and how that's informed some of what you'll be sharing with us.
Well, thank you, Diane. Yes, about 3 years ago, Mom was transferred to the Palolo Chinese Home for rehabilitation after fracturing her pelvis in 2 places. Not my fault now, okay? She spent 2 weeks there in rehabilitation. And prior to that, she had initially was admitted to Queens Medical Center for that same situation. But what's important for me and what really stood out for me was during those 2 weeks at Queens and 2 weeks there at Palolo Chinese Home, the wonderful and fantastic care that the health providers at both facilities, and I'm sure all of the other facilities as well, they were top notch. The health providers, whether it be the doctors or the nurses, anyone on that staff did wonderful care for Mom. And you know, Diane, I would be remiss if I did not say, if I did not give a big shout out to all of our first responders and healthcare providers right now. And I'm sure they're giving the same care that they gave to Mom during this COVID pandemic time. So thank you very much to all of you out there, first responders, healthcare providers, everyone that's helping us now.
That's beautiful. I completely agree with you. I've covered on some aging wells for KITV care homes and how they've had to change in this time because of the coronavirus. And I think they do an amazing thing because they really have to work so hard to uplift patients or their guests and clients' spirits. And they've been so creative.
Exactly. Fantastic. I like that word, creative.
Mm-hmm. We were just a little bit early as we started the presentation. So I just wanted to welcome everybody back to Palolo Chinese Home's webinar. I'm Diane Ako from KITV4, and this is Gerry Yahata. He's a motivational speaker and an author. We're having an Uplifting Our Kupuna and Caregivers topic today with Gerry. So Gerry, tell us once again, for those just joining us, some of your experiences with Palolo Chinese Home and some of the messages today.
Well, as I mentioned, and again, I can't say enough about what a fantastic job they do. And I'm sure other healthcare facilities do the same. But for my experience at Palolo, when I first got there, my apprehension was because Queens Medical Center had done a fantastic job with Mom. But going into Palolo, the Palolo Chinese Home, they were just so welcoming. And, you know, with the apprehension initially, they just made me feel at home. And Mom just felt like part of the family there with the care, concern. And as you had said, the creative gestures, the new things that they did to me, I said, wow, I never did that. And most of all, and I've heard it before, but the food was fantastic, okay? Not that I got to eat it, but I saw what Mom got to eat, and yes, they did a fantastic job. And you know, again, I can't reiterate how much that meant to me during that stay there.
Okay, so again, if you're just joining us as people are starting to trickle in here on this, perhaps early for you Saturday morning. I know 10 was a little early for me. Community education webinar from Palolo Chinese Home, and the focus is on supporting seniors in our changing times. So I'm so flattered and honored to be part of one of the series, meeting and talking to Gerry here today. Let's see here. Gerry, we were talking a little bit about your journey with PCH, and now perhaps we think it's time for you to share your slide presentation.
All right, Diane. But Diane, I have to say thank you very much for waking up early. I know it's not for some, but I know this afternoon and tomorrow is your time on television at night. So thank you for putting on your makeup twice today. Now in the morning, and then now you got to do it again in the afternoon. And so thank you so much. It is a
Yes, I'm
privilege.
on it 5 p.m., 6 p.m., and 10 p.m. tonight.
I okay. Okay, that's a shout out to KITV. Okay, 510 and
Thank you.
all right. But hey, yes, mom, an independent, strong-willed, intelligent lady that she was, outgoing, friendly. She loved going for long walks around the neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood knew who she was, and she'd come home every day with a farmer's market worth of vegetables and produce, and she was smiling as could be. From there, about 10 or 12 years ago, she showed early signs of dementia, which got progressively worse. Forgetfulness, not knowing why she went into the bathroom when I asked her to go take a bath. Half an hour later, she was just standing there. What am I doing here? Losing 3 sets of dentures. Okay, I tried my best on that one. And her long walks got longer and longer, so much so that I realized that she must have started getting lost. So, being creative as I was in that regard, I put a GPS monitor in her bag. Okay, in her bag because these ladies they would hold on to that cloth bag for dear life, and it really helped sometimes in doing that. But again, as the dementia got worse, about 8 years ago, I decided to take early retirement and care for her for full time. But with that, dementia came yelling, my yelling, frustration, being puzzled. What's wrong with mom is not being mom? Well, I don't know. Or was it me? And it just got worse and worse. And I think a lot of us can relate to that. Then this is where I came to the realization that mom wasn't mom. She became more childlike. And here's the first tip that I found to be very helpful. It wasn't, I'm not a genius. I'm no doctor or anything else, but I just thought, you know what? This is not mom anymore. She's a new individual. I needed to look at her from a different perspective. And actually, what I did, I said, you know what? This is a new person now that I'm going to have to deal with and learn about, all starting from new. Just like an analogy would be learning about a new friend. So became my new friend, and we would learn more about each other based on what we had to deal with, dealing with the dementia. Now, before we go on, in fact, now that I'd like to go on, I'd like to introduce you to a new word for some of you. It comes from Okinawa, and the word is ikigai. And it's important for you to pronounce it correctly, best most of all. And it's not the ikigai, it's not the ikigai that we also know well about, but it's ikigai. And the best way to pronounce it is to make your puffy cheeks, your cheeks puffy with a big, big smile and shout out Ikigai. So I'd like everyone out there to puffy cheeks, big smile, and shout out on the count of 3, Ikigai. 1, 2, 3, Ikigai. Great. I heard you out there, even in on the windward side of the island. All right. Now, as you see on the screen, it's comprised of 2 words, iki, which is life, and gai, which is value. A life of value, a life of purpose. What is my purpose for this life here? We all question that many times. It could be your job. It could be a passion of yours. It could be a hobby. What is that sense of worth? Now, that would be so important for us on the long term. But Ikigai can also be considered on the short term, on a daily basis. What is my purpose for each and every day? Or simply, why do I get up in the morning? What's the reason for me getting up? And I think for us, as well as those you may be caring for, what is my purpose for getting up? And if we can look at this from the standpoint that I think many of us, if not all of us, look forward to waking up each morning and hoping for a good and happy day, looking for happiness. So if we can look at it from that standpoint, let's look for, why do I wake up in the morning? To find happiness. Now, as we start this journey, uh, I want to give you a word of caution with this caution sign, and it might be an overdose. And I call these the happy chemicals. Within your body, they have these happy chemicals that are stirring and wanting to get loose and do some good. Okay, there's something called dopamine. That's a quick stimulant. It works as an antidepressant. Oxytocin gives you that warm and happy feeling. The serotonin, now that's the one that's gives you that positive boost, that sense of confidence. And last but not least, serotonins. Now these serotonins act like a pain reliever. It's been described as morphine-like. Okay, and as I said, these happy chemicals are all within our body, in everyone's body. And how do you get that? How do you get this released? Well, two ways. First, in today's world, in the US alone, we spend billions upon billions upon hundreds of billions of dollars each year on prescription medication. And of course, we've heard the word now opioids or other substances. And that's how, we stimulate those happy chemicals to get going within us. But what I'd like to do today is share with you in the short time that we have, and Diane's going to keep time for me because she needs to get to work at KITV. So we're going to stick on our time frame.
Thanks for the plug, Gerry.
we need, yeah, we need more out there. Okay. I'm sorry. Sorry for these short clips, but that's okay. Okay, let's look at these. I call them the happy habits. Okay, we've all done them. We all know about them, but sometimes we forget. And these happy habits will be our lifesavers. And the first one, we did it. Everybody on the count of three, Ikigai. 1, 2, 3, Ikigai.
Ikigai.
And yes, the smile. The dopamine will kick in with that smile. We sometimes forget how important that smile is. It's a big smile that will stimulate that happy chemical to generate in our body. Yeah, and when do we smile? When we smile when we're happy, right? But we can get this. We can smile even when we may not be at our best, and we will still have that dopamine effect. And guess what? When someone smiles at you, what is your normal reaction? You either would say, get out of here, or normally you would smile back. And guess what? That person lets you have the dopamine effect. Or vice versa. If you smiled at someone, hopefully with your nice smile, you'll get a smile back and they will get that dopamine. So that smile is so great. So that's the first happy habit. Now, let's look at the next slide, and you're going to see this nice picture. Now, it comes from a best-selling book. Diane had mentioned about me being an author. Well, it's a bestseller book, but just notice the scene there. The background behind this, Ken, the boy, is having one of those bad days, and his father decided to take him out to one of their favorite spots overlooking Chinaman's hat. Okay, so take a look at that, and we're going to focus in on three happy habits that you may not notice there. And there was supposed to be some dialogue there, but we'll get to that. So, checking out the scene. Now, the first one. If you notice that Ken's father was putting his hand on Ken's back, and that's the touch. I realize that we're in a COVID situation where we restrain from shaking hands or hugging or kissing the way all Hawaiians do, but strategically, a touch can mean so much. Oxytocin, it's sometimes referred to as the hugging drug, is emitted throughout the body when that touch is strategically placed. You notice there's a picture there. It came from the Honolulu Advertiser. I'm dating myself, but it's Star Advertiser. And it's two ladies. Now, the story behind this picture is so compelling. A while ago, Hawaiian Air had announced that they would have to lay off 1,800 employees. 1,800 employees. And the feel good story behind it is 500 senior employees, those with years of service, opted for early retirement so that 500 of the less senior employees could possibly keep their jobs. What a wonderful gesture. And as a way to say thank you, they provided the 500 senior employees a catered dinner by Chef Chai. Wow. And so they did a pickup, but there, look, notice that touch on the top of that hand. And to me, that would mean so much. And I think even as much as that dinner from Chef Chai. But that touch, it means so much. And talking about touch, I got to tell you this real fast story. When I was about 5 or 6 years old, not too long ago, grandma and grandpa would come from Kauai to stay with us. And, they would stay in my bedroom at night. And one night I woke up feeling nauseous as I was sick as a dog. Okay. Well, not dog. Yeah, sick. Okay. I went to the bathroom and I started to barf my guts out. Everything came out of me and I was sick as I was feeling so nauseous. Grandma walked in and at first I thought, no, grandma, no need, don't worry. She put her hand on the back of me and started to rub up and down. And you know what happened? Magic. Grandma's magic touch that I never felt before. There was this warm feeling. And I told myself as a 6-year-old, that oxytocin is kicking in there. No, I didn't. Okay. I wasn't that smart yet. I didn't have an opportunity to go to Kamehameha schools, but that's okay. Oxytocin just kicked in on that one. So grandma, that touch can mean so much. Okay. The second thing there, if you notice, as I said, Chinaman's hat. And what I'm referring to on those Chinamen, that experience is simply happy moments. The simple little things that can mean so much. A nice view, catching green lights on your way into town. It's so, wow, it's a wonderful effect, but sometimes we just take it for granted. But those happy moments will mean and start the dopamine effect when we just think about it. For me, the best is when my TV remote isn't working and I'm trying to press that button and I'm hitting it, and all of a sudden, take the back off the cover, rotate those batteries, and voila, it's working just for a little while. Or some of us waking up in the morning, getting ready for work, and then realizing it's Saturday. Oh, except now some of us are working at home, and I know it won't help, but those dopamine effects and those happy moments on the flip side should lead to, and we have to remember this. When we have these happy moments, we need to remember to be thankful for those happy moments. An attitude of gratitude. And that too can mean so much to your body that the dopamines will kick in as well. I get to tell you this. This picture there is mom taking a ride every day in my car. And yes, my license plate is LAFF. And let me tell you, she would love going on rides every day. And I would take the same route every day. But guess what? There's one good thing about dementia. Dementia, you forget about, right? You forget the short term things. And if you, some of you may remember the movie Groundhog Day when every day starts over again. And for mom, every day on that ride was a brand new day for her, a brand new ride, a brand new view of Diamond Head. And she just said, wow. And for her, the dopamine effect was easy for me to fulfill because of that ride. Yeah, happy moments and gratitude. And last but not least, on the last slide, next slide, you may not have you may not have noticed. In fact, you wouldn't notice because the words, the dialogue wasn't put in there. But let me read from that bestseller book again. Okay, what the caption read. Ken, this may sound funny, but whenever I had one of those bad days, I found that the best thing to make me feel better was to do something nice for someone else. For someone else. And indeed, an act of kindness can go so far. An act of kindness without expecting anything in return. You may not expect it. In fact, you should not expect anything in return, but you will. Again, the oxytocin kicks in. Serotonin will give you confidence whenever you provide that act of kindness. And guess what? When you give that act of kindness out and the receiver gets that, whatever it may be, they will get that same oxytocin effect. And the act of kindness can be as simple as a smile, a small gesture. It doesn't have to be a big reward. It doesn't have to be anything that will just show kindness and, hospitality, whatever it be in that regard. Okay, the next happy habit, music. Everybody loves music. Mom and I just love music. She used to take me to musicals, The King and I, My Fair Lady. Now I might be dating myself, and some of you may not even. What movie was that? But they were good movies, good musicals. And after I took over, and after I became a caregiver for mom, I had forgotten about how important music was, or how how wonderful she loved listening to music. But a friend of ours, and I was still working, I was going part-time then, so I could come back in the afternoon. But in the morning, my friend would come and stay with mom for a little while. And now my friend loved music. And she thought, hey, I'll bring my DVDs. So she brought her DVDs of Andre Bocelli and El Divo and Sarah Brightman. And she would start playing those DVDs, and mom and her would be in seventh heaven. Dopamine up they were stress relieved to no end. They fell asleep with that music going on. And so I would come home and mom would tell me, guess what? I heard this beautiful, lovely singing by this man. His voice was so beautiful and he was blind. And I just laughed and I thought, wow. Then I remembered, hey, mom loved Japanese music. And I saw this commercial, Japanese Inca popular songs. Now, I didn't know what Inca was at that time, but they said the most popular Japanese songs. And I remembered mom and her brothers and sisters would sing these Japanese songs, which I didn't really understand. But it was a compilation, 6 CDs, 99 bucks. I thought, whoa. But mom was worth 99 bucks. And when I got that CDs, everybody was playing them. I mean, she was listening to that all day long. So much so, one of those songs just, it still plays in the back of me over and over again. Okay, so music. The memories came back, and the last one, memories and photographs. Memories and photographs. If they can remember stories, let them tell you those stories over and over again. And if they can't, maybe photographs would elicit ideas. If you notice the picture on the left, that's a hula dancer. And some of you may remember Hilo Hattie. Okay, Hilo Hattie in her wonderful days, a wonderful Hawaiian entertainer. I found one of those pictures similar to that, and I showed it to mom, expecting her to say, "Hey, Hilo Hattie." When I showed it to her, she said, "Mrs. Inter." I said, "No, no." She said, "Who's?" I said, "Hilo Hattie." "No, Mrs. Inter." And sure enough, her married name before becoming Hilo Hattie was Clara Inter. And Clara Inter was an elementary school teacher at Waipahu Elementary way back. And that was mom's first teacher in school. And she just loved Mrs. Inter. Okay, she just loved Mrs. Inter. And so, wow, what a wonderful opportunity. She just loved her. Mrs. Inter would pack the kids into her car and drive them into town. And so that photograph stays up there. The picture on the right is me and holding my first grandson of 3, Cody. And this was about 13 or 14 years ago. Now, Cody is taller than I am. Whether he's growing faster or I'm shrinking more, I don't know what it is, but that's Cody. And take a look. I'm ahead of my time. I was COVID ready for this at that moment, right? No, actually, I had the slight sniffles, so I decided I better protect everyone. But COVID ready in that regard. But memories and photographs. That's one photograph I will keep and cherish in that regard. Now, last but not least, the last happy habit that we have. The last happy habit. The laugh. Now, the laugh, believe it or not, is when they say laughter is good medicine, you cannot, it is so true. Laughter will incite those endorphins. Now, for those of you who have chronic back pain or migraine headaches, this is the best relief for that. Endorphins are called, it's described as being morphine-like. Can you imagine having morphine in your body for the pain relief? Now this laughter, when, okay, when do we normally laugh? When do we laugh? We laugh when something's humorous, or we laugh when something's funny or silly, or we laugh at someone. You can laugh at me. Go ahead, laugh. Okay, the humor or the silliness. Guess what? The endorphins don't get excited or get stimulated by humor. The endorphins don't get excited and stimulated through anything that's funny or silly. The endorphins get excited or get stimulated by the pure physical aspect of the laughter. So just by laughing alone, this will excite you and be a happy moment. Mom, because of her dementia, doesn't laugh as much, but whenever I need to get a happy moment from her, I would just laugh. And mom would look at me kind of crazy, but then she'd smile. And she'd smile and everything. So the secret to this, you don't have to have a reason to laugh. Something you don't have to be funny, or it doesn't have to be anything funny to laugh, but laugh for laughter's sake. When the things are going the worst, that would be the best time to laugh and that would be a happy habit, and would mean so much to you. Now, the last thing, now those are the happy habits, but for me, I needed resources. There are so many resources out there that let me just describe a few to you. The picture there is mom with Vicky. Now, Vicky is a caregiver that I had to find, and let me clear something up. Yes, I was so-called full-time caregiver. But about 3 years ago, auntie had passed away, and uncle, who is mom's younger brother, was all alone. Unfortunately, my cousins had passed away previously as well. So he was all alone, living in a condo, and he needed help. He still had some comprehension going on, but he had difficulty walking. I had to take his car keys away because he got into a couple of accidents very quickly. One of them, he said, the pole got in the way. I don't know why, but how, but it cracked up. But I said, okay, we need to take the car keys away. He wasn't a cook, so we needed to provide him with food. It was difficult for him to get around. So Vicky came along. So on Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays, Vicky would come and stay with mom for a couple of hours while I took uncle for for his appointments. And best of all, 3 days a week, I got to take him to lunch at his favorite Japanese restaurant. Talk about getting an overdose of mercury, but every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Then on Tuesdays and Thursdays, Vicky would go and help Uncle in the morning and clean up his house and things like that. And so, but Tuesdays and Thursdays was his subway day. So too bad, Vicky, on that one, but that's okay. But everyone, what I'm trying to say here is, we may want to be the Superman or the Superwoman, and really, even in our culture, we'll say I gotta take care of my parents or our loved ones. But the reality is, some of us are not meant to be caregivers. We may want to and have the desire to make sure that our loved ones are safe and and can be taken care of. But it's a matter of whether we're the nurturing type or we have that within us. So don't try to uh, you end up a baboos, as we call it sometimes. Okay, so caregivers are there. Now, there's other things. There are tons of resources. Please, I've had to get resources myself. And let me just give you an example because it's so readily available, and the Palolo Chinese Home. Just let me share with you some of the things and aspects and things that they did. Besides the rehabilitation, they gave mom a full evaluation before they would let me take her home. Okay, full evaluation meaning nutrition and occupational therapist to make sure that she could walk and take a bath and everything else. But during that short evaluation, I got wonderful, simple tips that I would have even thought about in terms of how to bathe her. I have difficulty. How do I wipe her? And after I give her a bath, and then they said, hey, just do this. I said, ah, how simple can it be? Okay. So those simple things, how to put her in the car, transportation, and the meals. Uh, Meal on wheels at Palolo Chinese Home, like other places. You don't have to cook. In fact, we don't have a stove and oven in the house because for the safety of mom. So they would have, and the nutritionist said, your mom needs puree food. I said, what? What is puree food? In the blender. I said, I don't even cook. Well, they provide puree food as the example. And so uncle needed food, mom needed food, uncle got the regular food, and I saw the same food for mom except blended. And so again, these resources, Palolo Chinese Home, where there are so many out there. You just need to understand that these are there. And it's not a matter of crying for help. Uh, alone. Everyone needs that. Everyone needs that. Okay. Hey, I know we need some time here for question and answers, but Diane, if I may just ask for a couple of more minutes, okay? Couple of more minutes, or else, and I promise to watch you tonight, and I'll shout out loud, "Yay, Diane!" and all that stuff. But
No, I want you to do the laugh. Every time I'm on camera, I want the.
Okay, I will get there. I will get there. But folks, let's get back to that word. Okay, on the count of three, puffy cheeks, big smile. On the count of three, a big one. 1, 2, 3. Ikigai!
Ikigai!
Ikigai, yes. Now, I got two stories. One of my addictions, I have to admit this, and one of the ways that I get around, I had a time when I had those few moments, I would go to shopping, and I love to window shop a lot. And there was this one shop at Kahala Mall I love to go to. Everybody knows me there. They know I won't buy too many things, but they just love talking story. I went one day, and everybody was there, and a vendor was setting up some of the things in the showcase. And they said, "Hey, Gerry, let me introduce you to this vendor here." And so they introduced me to her, and then nice lady. And then the first question she asked, the very first question she asked was, "Do you have a job?" And at first I thought, whoa. Now, the whole place was silent. You could hear the, and the owner went up. "How could you ask?" But I calmed her down. No, 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 no. I know. And at that moment, do you have a job? Some of you out there may know that mom passed away this past March 11, 2020. Not from COVID, but as a 96-year-old, and she went in peace to heaven. And there was sadness indeed, but it was a wonderful time that we had shared, and I wouldn't have traded for the world. But now mom passed away. My uncle, he November of last year, on November 24th, uncle passed away at 93 years old. And we had a wonderful 3 years really bonding together too as well. With that in mind, when she asked that question, "Do I have a job?" she was asking me, "Do you have an ikigai?" And at that moment, I said, "No, I don't." I know what she was trying to refer to, but now I'm looking for my next ikigai on the long term. On the long term, what is my next ikigai? And I need to tell you one short story regarding Palolo Chinese Home. I was doing the pickup for their Meal on Wheels. I didn't do a drop off and delivery type of deals because I love going to Palolo Chinese Home and talking story with everyone when I pick the food. I was at the kitchen, and one day I saw a new guy stirring a big pot, and he was going at it, and he was happy as could be. And then I looked at him and I said, "Hey." And then I smelled the Portuguese bean soup. I thought, hey, maybe they might give me a taste, but no, they won't give that free. Okay, they won't give that free. Palolo Chinese Home is right. But then I got a chance to talk to him. I said, "Hey," and I asked him the question. "What do you do here?" And I expected to hear, "Oh, I cook or I chop vegetables and everything else." He looked at me and he said, "I save lives." And I was floored. I said, "What do you mean? You save lives?" "I save lives." And and then he went on and he says, "No, well, I cook the food. Yeah, I cook the food. I try the best I can. And then that food gets served to our clients or residents. And then hopefully they'll eat it and hopefully they'll enjoy it. But then, they'll be happy and live longer. And I thought, wow, what an ikigai. I save lives, or to save lives. Wouldn't that be a wonderful opportunity? And before I leave, what I'd like to do is share with you one last habit. Okay, one last habit that can save lives, and that's to wear your mask. Yes, and I've always wanted to say this. Okay, and I get this opportunity now. Back to you, Diane. Back to you, Diane. I had to say it again. Back to you, Diane.
You're a hoot, Gerry. You did it just as we coached.
Thank you.
Gerry, I feel like your ikigai is to enhance people's lives with your wonderful wisdom. I mean, this was so spot on.
Oh, I hope that's not scripted and comes from your heart, but no, thank you very much. I truly appreciate those kind words, Diane. Thank you.
You know it's not scripted. You saw the script too.
Okay, we're having fun now, but that's great. That's great.
Actually, my feedback to you is I was kind of starting to tear up because when you talk about this stuff, and I may need a little moment to get through this, it brings me back to the time when my mom was sick. So we have a lot in common, I realize, as I listen to you, because you said your mom died in March of 2020 from dementia, and mine died in March of 2018, Alzheimer's, after some years and hospice in a care home. And we were very close. She was my best friend, or one of my best friends. And I just feel so lucky to have had her. Sorry, every time does it ever get here, Gerry?
No. Oh, thank you for sharing that. You just made my day, and in a wonderful way, to know that there's empathy out there and there's others that feel the same way. Thank you.
Yeah, but when all the things you were saying about happy moments, connections, kindness, music, pictures, memories, and the rides. My mom loved rides, and I totally related to what you said, because she would get in the car every day. Sometimes she would wander right at the end. And I would, this is before she was moved into a care home, I would walk out to the garage and I'd be like, where is she? Because she's starting to wander. And she was sitting in the car. And she's like, are we going for a ride yet? And I'm like, oh, right. And I guess either through the subconscious wealth of experience that I have garnered from aging well, or just reading stuff, or digging into the resources, I somehow offered her some of the things that you said. So my friend is award-winning musician Trey Terada, and she loved Hawaiian music. So he would come down and give her mini live concerts on his ukulele. And as you know, when people have dementia towards the end, they kind of start, what's the word? Like, they don't have much expression on their face. They have like a flat affect. But when she heard the music, she would start kind of singing and clapping, and she would come alive. And I was just so grateful for that. So also, you can't really relate to them at the end when they don't have, when they only have a flat affect. So what I would do is I would just hold her hand and I would sit there with her, because there wasn't much else. I would think about memories, and sometimes she would be like, but I think you're right. It was just the simple act of physical touch.
Yes.
I did have a member of the audience come in with a question about how do you keep people connected and safe in this time, and you touched upon a little bit of that, which was just make eye contact with them and smile, right?
Exactly.
Oh.
And you can answer all the questions, boy, just by your experiences alone and from aging well. Not you, but the segment that you do.
No. I'll take both. Thank you. We'll just go with that. I'm going to toss it over now to Isa Pobre. She's a team member at Palolo Chinese Home. She's the wellness program manager for the senior daycare. And that provides resources to support seniors and their families in these times. So can you just tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I hope you all continue to be safe and healthy. We, the Palolo Chinese Home, want to let you know that we are here for you, just like how we have helped Gerry Yahata, his mother, and his family. We are one of Hawaii's largest continuum of care provider. Next slide. From our residential and campus-based program, we have our skilled nursing and intermediate care, hospice care, rehab services, adult residential care, overnight respite, and our senior daycare that is open 7 days a week, including holidays. Next slide. We also have our Palolo Wellness Program, which is our community base that includes our meals to go, home cleaning, and in-home personal care and companionship. If any of these services can help you and your family or anyone that you may know, they can visit us at our website, palolohome.org, or give me a call at 748-4909 or email apobre@palolohome.org. Thank you. Back to you, Diane.
Excuse me. Wow, we're all tossing back to me. All for being my quasi-reporters this morning. Okay, so now is the Q&A portion of the webinar. So we have some audience members sharing their questions, and thank you in advance for continuing to share those. We already have one coming in. Also, if you have your own Ikigai story, not Ikigai, but Ikigai, with the please feel free to share that as well. I'm paying attention to you, Gerry.
Thank
Suzanne
you.
Nakano. You're welcome. Suzanne Nakano asked if whether you're feeling it or not, if you physically laugh, does the act of that positively affect your health? And she wants us to know that you and I are good at laughing. Thanks, Suzanne.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you for that question. And no, as I had mentioned, yes, the physical laughter alone, the physical aspect of laughter alone will provide that healing effect. The endorphins will just kick in, and it will provide you with that opportunity. So as I mentioned, laughing and laughing alone without the humor, without the laugh. Now, there's nothing wrong with humor. But you know, humor sometimes can be good or it can be bad. Most of the time when I tell a joke, people don't laugh. I don't know why, but you know, I can't help that. But just by laughing alone, you will get that. So that, yeah, that's an important aspect, and that's why I left that at the end, because laughter can cure all. It's the best medicine.
All right. We also had an audience member share what they're going through with us, and this is, I'll share it with you. My husband and I have been caregiving a 95-year-old father and a 38-year-old son who incurred a spinal injury last year. At times I find myself feeling I have no life. I'm concerned about my husband. He's gone through so many illnesses as well. And the stress of caregiving. Sometimes I'm just stressed out and I start overthinking and I get tired of fighting this negative mood. A list of suggestions would be helpful. So I know, Gerry, that you talked about some helpful resources throughout the discussion, but is there anything else that you might suggest or expand on for this?
Wow. That is a
yeah.
I can empathize. I can't even empathize because, well, to go through that, I could relate to the 95-year-old, but then her son as well. You know, one of the things that I can think of with this triad of challenges, but opportunities there. This person really sounds like a wonderful person, just even attempting to do that, number one. And the best suggestion, the thing that I have to remember so often too, is number one, to take care of yourself. That she needs to, it doesn't sound like she has too much time to do too much, even with her husband. So number one, take that meditation time, yoga time. Diane, you can teach her how to do yoga, whatever it may be. But she needs to really value the time by herself or with a friend to, I'm not saying get away from the situation, but to be separate from that situation, whatever it may be. It could be with the husband, a date night. You know, he's been through a lot, and so it's important that maybe um, Isa had mentioned respite care. That is one that I did not take advantage on, but that would be the best. And I've heard that you can, short time drop-offs, and then you can get away from it all, just to refresh and to reignite your situation. Oh, wonderful question. Wow.
She has got so much going on. And I understand
Yeah.
too, for a while, I tried caregiving for my mom here, but I ended up having to place her in a care home because at the time my daughter was like 5 years old or something. So I was really the sandwich generation. And it's so much, right? Morning, noon, and night, you're making all the meals, you're doing all the laundry, and like running downstairs every time there's something going on. I mean, it's just so much.
Oh, I can relate. Wow.
And I think it's really hard in the coronavirus because, these stories that I cover, there's fewer avenues for caregivers to take care of themselves, right? Like I used to teach yoga in person at Lanakila Senior Center, and it stopped because of the coronavirus. And now the classes are offered on Zoom, but it's just different because you as a caregiver, you miss that connection. Your day blurs because if you're going to do it, you're doing it at home, but you don't get that physical break and that different structure of your day.
Yes. Even 5 minutes just meditation can take many forms. The
Yeah.
the true meditation, or simply getting back to music. My meditation is listening to music every morning, just putting on those headphones and just for those 5 minutes, just take my care away. And that's why I love Disneyland. So, if ever I go to Disneyland, that's my runaway place because it's Neverland over there. But I apologize for that. But no, thank you so much for sharing and helping out. As I said, take it away, Diane.
No, we have another question from audience member Ryan, and he wants to know if spiritual belief is helpful for both caregivers as well as the patients, or at least those who are cognizant. And he's wondering if Palolo Chinese home patients believe in heaven. That might be more of a question for Isa for the Palolo portion.
Okay, well, Isa, think about that, and I'm fully aware of that. Getting to the spiritual side, whether it be belief, whether doesn't have to be religion to me. There's a book a while ago of The Blue Zones by Dan Buettner, talking about places where people live the longest. And one of the aspects is on a belief system. And so to answer that question of would spirituality be a positive effect? Yes, definitely. Because again, spirituality takes you into this belief system. And when you have that belief system, it's almost like internal that I have hope there. So faith and hope through that spirituality, whatever it may be, it can be Christianity, it can be Buddhism, it can be any form, that there's someone out there or something out there, that there is that hope or that ikigai, so to speak. But relating to the Palolo Chinese home, I know Palolo Chinese home accepts any and all, but Isa, please, maybe you can help in that regard.
Yes, we do accept all those religion, and for our activity department, we do arrange different religions, events, activities that occurs in our facility. So before the shutdown, we used to have different priests and church visitors to come in and visit our individuals. So depending on what religion, we'd have all those lists down. We would provide them the different services, and the residents would be able to attend when we do have those events at the facility.
Yeah, you guys are one of the many care homes that have done a wonderful job of pivoting and taking care of your residents in this time. I know that we've had you on the news where you've had these drive-through celebrations where the residents sit in the porte cochere and the family drives through, and even that moment of connection and seeing your family in person, even just 5 feet away, makes a big difference, right?
Yes, it was perfect.
Susan Kondo wants to know, can you share more about what is respite, and can we get more information on it?
Yes, so we have a minimum of 3 to 4 days. If you please give me a call at 748-4909, and we can give you all the application, all the information, and we'll answer all of your questions.
Okay, yeah. Eric Noguchi wants to know, your oxytocin really resonated apparently, Gerry, because Eric wants to clarify or be sure, does oxytocin relieve pain and laughing stimulates production of it?
Well, the oxytocin is more of a common effect. Now, I'm not a doctor in any regard, so those four happy chemicals are the correct names, but in terms of their effectiveness or what they really are there for, the oxytocins are for the calming effect. The serotonins are more, gives you the neurotransmitters in your brain will provide you with that confidence boost. And as I said, the endorphins will give you the pain relief. The endorphins will give you the pain relief. And the dopamines is more of it's a quick stimulant, an antidepressant type that will give you that quick, common effect. So all of these simulate together, depending on the happy habit, multiple chemicals react. And that's the reason why I had that funny thing about overdose. Definitely, you can never get an overdose of natural stimulants within your body. Definitely, there will be overdose with those over-the-counter medications or the prescription drugs. I'm not saying don't take prescription drugs, definitely, but I'm saying that there are alternatives to that, or in addition to. Because yes, I'm a senior and I take my medication for my high blood pressure and all those other things. But no, definitely to stimulate those other happy chemicals. I call them the happy chemicals.
I think that's great advice. Better to produce it naturally, right? In your body. Even
Take
just
the yoga. Take the yoga.
I feel like even just go outside and sit in the sun and connect with nature a little bit if you even can't walk away from your house.
Well, okay, you got my cue card on that one, but yes, nature. One of the things the studies indicated that by being within nature, it will stimulate all four of those happy chemicals. The nature walk, the nature beauty, the simple things. I have a the Kamiki Fire Station right behind is a hill, is Pu'u'o Park. And on there, I used to walk, I walk up there. And in fact, please don't turn me in, but my mom's ashes are up there in this small hole. But I went up there right after mom passed away. I went up there, and during that moment when everything else almost was sadness and everything seemed like gloom, I walked up there and nature took over for me. I looked at clouds for the first time like I've never done before. I went around in a circle and there were different shapes of clouds. And I didn't realize that different clouds form in different areas. And then I saw this minor bird flying, which, nowadays we don't see too many birds, but just seeing that minor bird flying, and I just said, wow, it gave me that calm. So please, yes, nature, definitely nature, going out there. I'm vitamin D deficient because I wasn't in the sun enough. So yes, I will take care of, be sure to get that nature walk.
Thank you, Gerry. Just have a couple of more minutes, so if you have any last questions, please make sure to get it in right now. I have a question or a comment for Isa regarding Palolo Chinese Home. We've been talking a lot about how caregivers here at home can support your loved ones. And I know that because of COVID, a lot of families, various experts have told me, are a little bit scared or reluctant to place their loved ones in a care home, partially for the health measures, but partially because they don't want to be like blocked from seeing them, right? I know that many care homes, as well as yours, have talked about the extreme sanitation measures and the protocol and temperature taking every day. I actually want to know, like, what your facility is doing to protect to support the caregivers within your staffers. You've done some great things, like you bring the farmers market up there, or you feed them a little bit more, because they have to act like the surrogate family now. They're working a lot and they're working hard and they're stressed out. So tell us a little bit about what facilitators are doing.
So for our facility, we have been supporting our staff, like what you mentioned. We did do farmers market. We also was giving free lunches throughout the month. And then also, we've been doing monthly testing, and just by doing that, we want to make sure that them coming in and going out to back to their family, that they, COVID free.
Yeah, you guys have to do so much more. I know that, were you the care home that had a donation of iPads?
Yes, we were. And like we've been having so many donations from PPEs, even food. A lot of families been donating food for our staff to, just a little, like even just something snacks to snack on. Our staff are very appreciative for all of those.
Yeah, gosh, what a wonderful way to pivot in this very stressful pandemic. Okay, everybody. Well, we're coming to the end of the hour, and we're so happy that you, our viewers, have been able to stop for a minute this morning and join us. Thank you, Gerry, for sharing your time and all of your wisdom and your beautiful story, and realizing for me that there's more of a connection for us than I knew about before I started this. For Isa for talking to us about the resources and what's going on at Palolo Chinese Home. If we were not able to get to everyone's question or story, particularly if you're watching this on the re-airing because it is up on the website, please send it in. We will work to address it more on the Palolo Chinese Home website a little bit later. We hope today was informative for you, and we would love to hear from you in our online survey following today's discussion. So thank you so much for joining us today. Together, we can indeed navigate the new normal with a little understanding, a little support for each other, and laughing whether or not you really feel like it in your head.
Hey, everybody, KITV at 5 o'clock tonight.
Yes, 5, 6, and 10. Thank you, Gerry. Bye, everyone.
Bye.